cabinet he assembled became the centerpiece of a political storm, with unqualified and often dangerous choices for some of the highest positions in government. For many, it was a clear reflection of Trump's approach to leadership, one that disregarded qualifications, experience, and expertise in favor of loyalty and personal preference. From conspiracy theorists to individuals with questionable pasts, his cabinet and transition team were marked by controversy, incompetence, and scandal. This, combined with his chaotic approach to governance, led to an administration that was consistently unprepared and unable to navigate the complex challenges America faced. In this video, we will break down some of the most bizarre and concerning events from Donald Trump's transition, examine the qualifications, or lack thereof, of his cabinet picks, and analyze the damage his decisions caused both at home and on the global stage. This was no ordinary transition. It was one marked by unprecedented dysfunction, international humiliation, and a series of catastrophic missteps that would set the tone for his entire presidency. The early signs of trouble: a cabinet full of controversy. Donald Trump's cabinet picks were, from the outset, a source of national concern. Rather than selecting experienced, well-qualified individuals to handle critical positions, Trump filled his administration with individuals whose pasts and public records were often troubling. The most glaring example was his choice for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a man known for promoting dangerous conspiracy theories. RFK Jr. was a vocal opponent of vaccines, claiming that they were responsible for causing autism and spreading misinformation about public health. His stance against scientific research, especially during a global health crisis, left many in disbelief. His appointment raised serious concerns about his ability to lead the department responsible for America's health, particularly during the ongoing battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. RFK Jr.'s bizarre belief that COVID-19 was somehow linked to 5G technology was only one of the many reasons his selection was a slap in the face to public health experts. Even more alarming was Trump's decision to appoint Peter Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Hegseth, a former Fox News host, was an outspoken critic of military interventions abroad and had no formal experience in defense strategy. His promotion to head the Department of Defense was widely seen as an insult to the men and women serving in the U.S. military. The selection of Hegseth also came amidst troubling revelations about his personal life, including allegations of sexual misconduct. The combination of his lack of qualifications and scandalous past left many wondering how he could possibly be entrusted with one of the most critical positions in government, especially one that holds the keys to America's nuclear arsenal. Next, we have the curious case of Matt Gaetz, who was appointed as Attorney General despite his ongoing legal troubles and a history of questionable behavior. Gaetz, a vocal supporter of Trump, was under investigation for serious allegations that he had been involved in a sex trafficking ring. His career had been marked by scandal, and many questioned whether he was capable of leading the Department of Justice, let alone being entrusted with the responsibility of upholding the law. Foreign policy fiascos: America's decline on the world stage. But the chaos didn't stop at home. Trump's foreign policy decisions, from appointing questionable individuals to top diplomatic posts to engaging in reckless behavior on the world stage, only exacerbated America's already tarnished global reputation. Perhaps one of the most embarrassing episodes during his transition was the revelation that Tulsi Gabbard, a former congresswoman from Hawaii, was being considered for a key foreign policy role. Gabbard, who had long been criticized for her pro-Russian views and sympathetic stance toward the Syrian regime, was a deeply controversial pick. She had publicly praised Russian President Vladimir Putin and made statements that seemed to align with Russian propaganda. Her meeting with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, who had used chemical weapons against his own people, was another red flag that raised questions about her fitness to serve in a key national security role. This appointment was just one of many that highlighted Trump's willingness to surround himself with individuals who were sympathetic to foreign authoritarian regimes, a move that many saw as deeply troubling for American democracy. Trump's own relationship with Putin had been a constant source of controversy during his campaign, and Gabbard's potential position only underscored his administration's leniency toward Russian interference in U.S. affairs. Meanwhile, Mike Huckabee, a staunch conservative and former governor of Arkansas, was nominated to serve as U.S. ambassador to Israel. Huckabee's views on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict were deeply controversial, and his public statements about the Palestinian people were inflammatory. Huckabee had a history of making inflammatory remarks, such as calling the West Bank, Judea, and Samaria, and dismissing the term Palestinian altogether. His support for Israeli policies, particularly regarding the displacement of Palestinians, caused an outcry among the Arab American community, many of whom had supported Trump in 2016. This was just another instance of Trump's foreign policy team being populated by individuals with extreme views, further isolating the U.S. from its allies and fueling global resentment. The DOI's agency, a symbol of dysfunction. As if the cabinet picks weren't enough, Trump's transition period saw the creation of a completely fabricated government agency, which he dubbed the DOI agency. This so-called agency was a clear attempt to bypass the constitutional processes and establish a parallel government system. It was designed to consolidate power in the hands of Trump and his loyalists, without any accountability or oversight. The DOI agency quickly gained attention on social media, particularly Twitter, where it was mocked for its lack of legitimacy. The very idea that such an agency could be recognized as an official branch of the U.S. government reflected the deep dysfunction within Trump's transition team and the broader lack of seriousness with which he approached governance. The agency's creation was just another example of Trump's desire to operate outside of the established norms of American politics. Along with figures like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who were promoted to fake cabinet positions, the DOI agency underscored the bizarre and often absurd nature of Trump's leadership style. This wasn't just a failure of governance, it was a direct challenge to the foundational principles of American democracy. Economic fallout. The stock market crashes. As Trump's transition proceeded, the financial markets began to respond to the uncertainty created by his controversial picks and chaotic decision-making. The stock market, which had been soaring during the final years of President Obama's tenure, started to tank as investors grew increasingly nervous about the future. Trump's erratic behavior and the extreme nature of his appointments sent shockwaves through Wall Street, triggering a downturn that many believed was just the beginning of a much larger economic crisis. In fact, Trump's first week in office saw predictions of a looming recession. While Trump had long touted his ability to manage the economy and boasted about record stock market highs, his inability to surround himself with competent advisors and his lack of understanding of the complexities of global markets quickly became apparent. Within days, many were predicting that a recession was inevitable, and the financial landscape was set for a significant downturn. By the time Trump officially took office, the damage was done, and the U.S. economy began a slow and painful decline that would only worsen as the years went on. The Russian threat. Putin pulls the strings. On the international stage, Trump's failure to contain the threat posed by Russia became increasingly apparent. Despite his campaign promises to confront Vladimir Putin, Trump's actions were nothing short of weak. After Trump's transition, reports revealed that he had secretly communicated with Putin, attempting to mediate peace in Ukraine. But rather than using his power as president to stand firm against Russia's aggressive actions, Trump's efforts were quickly rebuffed by the Russian leader. Putin publicly dismissed Trump's phone call as pure fiction, mocking the idea that the two had engaged in any meaningful dialogue. This public humiliation was just one of many moments that showcased Trump's ineptitude in foreign affairs. His inability to assert American power on the world stage made the U.S. a laughingstock, not just to adversaries like Russia, but to the global community at large. Trump's presidency would continue to be marked by a pattern of appeasing autocrats and failing to act in America's best interests. In conclusion, Donald Trump's transition into the White House was nothing short of a disaster. His cabinet picks were unqualified and often dangerous, his approach to foreign policy was erratic and counterproductive, and his disregard for established governance led to the creation of fake agencies and a chaotic administration. The impact of these decisions was felt not just in the U.S., but around the world, as America's global standing was severely diminished. Trump's chaotic transition set the tone for his presidency, a presidency that would be defined by controversy, scandal, and a reckless disregard for the principles that once made America a beacon of democracy. As we look back on this tumultuous period, it's clear that the early signs of dysfunction were evident from the very beginning. The consequences of Trump's unqualified picks, fake agencies, and international embarrassment continue to shape the political landscape today. The question now is whether America will learn from these mistakes or continue down a path of division and instability.